Hey, let's explore more autistic history. This is part 60. We are at part 60 of the series, and we are in the year 2000. Picking up from the congressional hearing on autism in 2000, from where I left off in the previous video, I'm going to jump right in here. We pick up with Dr. Ledger again, or Ledger. In addition to his work with autism, Dr. Ledger has achieved dramatic results in treating post-traumatic stress disorder in Vietnam veterans. In addition to medical treatments for the physical symptoms of autism, there are numerous therapies that are needed to help autistic children. Special educational approaches are needed that can include intensive behavior modification known as ABA, Lovaas, music therapy, speech therapy, auditory integration, and sensory integration, as well as play therapy. We will hear from both the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and the National Institutes of Health about ongoing research and future needs. Of particular interest is the Brick Township study, which has been evaluating a cluster of autism in New Jersey. Yeah, that's because these clusters that they come up with they're really just running studies, or they're getting numbers of autistics that are in the area, and since there hasn't been these studies done before, or at least in a really, really long time, and definitely not at the level that they're seeking, they talk about these autism clusters, when really in actuality all they've done is just make a first count or a second count, and the jump is so big from previous years because, well, there was nothing. But again, we have spin and more spin and more spin going out to the nation, because this hearing is legitimizing all this to the general public. This hearing will raise more questions than we can answer today, because you didn't invite any autistics. You silenced us. We had a lot to say, and you zoop. Good grief, you want our silence or compliance, and so we got silenced. We have to do everything humanly possible to determine if there is something that can be done to unlock our children from the prison that they are in as a result. Autism. Oh, this is terrible. I think that as a top priority, we have to do much more research on the potential connection between the preventatives that, help children live into adulthood and autism. I think that is a top priority. We have to do much more research on the potential connection between them. We cannot stick our heads in the sand and ignore this possibility. You stuck your heads in the sand and ignored autistics. I wish it was that simple. No, you stuck us in the sand and you buried us so we could not be heard. How's that? If we do not take action now, 10 years from now, it may be too late, not only for this generation of children, but for our taxpayer-funded health and education systems, but for our collapse. Oh my gosh. So, okay, taxpayer-funded health and education systems which could collapse from trying to care for all of these children. The hearing record, all right, it says the hearing record will remain open for 2 weeks. And he says, I now yield to my colleague from California, Mr. Waxman, for his opening statement. So I'm going to end this testimony here and share with you a response to an opinion piece that was written about Dan Burton's autism hearings here in Congress. There was a opinion piece written about it, and I'm going to share that with you, but included is the response back from Danielle Sarkin, S-A-R-K-I-N, Sarkin, Burton's daughter. He refers to her in this, and this is the daughter of the grandson that he talks about in here, and it will give you a feeling of the ambiance of that time, if you will. All right, and this is available. You can find it through internationalbadassactivist.org, searching Dan Burton, and then the headline will come up: Congressman Burton's daughter responds to WebMD article in April of 2000, and I'm going to share this with you now. So I'm going to read her response, and it includes statements from the opinion piece and then the response from Danielle Sarkin. So here we go. Mr. Pines, my name is Danielle Sarkin, and I am Congressman Dan Burton's daughter. I read your article and was very displeased with some of the things you said in it. I will be copying some of your text into this email and then telling you what I found so inaccurate and displeasing. You think you had Karens? Wait till you see the Autism Wars Karens. Woo! Nothing. I don't think anything can top these Karens. But I don't know. So the statement is from the opinion piece: Dan Burton is an angry grandfather. His grandson Christian is autistic. That means the boy has language difficulties and engages in repetitive behavior. Remember the Dustin Hoffman character in the movie Rain Man? That's what autism is. And there you have it. Bernard Rimland's version of autism is the one that is featured in Rain Man. He was an advisor on that set, and he made a change to the end of the movie where the character goes back into the institution rather than being integrated into society with his brother and interdependence. So yeah, we can't escape these people no matter what. And now here we go some more. Danielle's response. This is where it gets, You know nothing about my son's symptoms. You are unable to print accurate information as to what are or are not my son's symptoms of autism. Capital letters. Rain Man does not define autism. Autism is a wide spectrum, and the character that Dustin Hoffman played only represents one area of the spectrum. They talk about spectrum like it's linear, and it's not. It's not. And so that's another stigma that we have to break, another prejudice that we have to weather and dismantle. So she goes on to say, my son has no savants like Dustin Hoffman had. My son is only 3 but struggles with language every day. He does now speak. By 3? Goodness, that's early. I mean, at least for me and my autistic kids, they were always 5, 6, 7 when language became something that could be utilized at all, really. But it is not articulate or age appropriate. You have no insight into my son's disability, and judging from your article, you know nothing about autism. When you write an article, you should first research the disorder you'll be speaking of so that you don't sound incompetent, as so many of us felt you did. Us, the autism community, not the autistic community. Keep in mind, when the autism community is included, the autistic community is excluded to the point we don't exist in the public conversation. We only exist in behind the scenes where we're advocating and fighting these people and this narrative that they're putting out about us and the prejudices that they're creating about us and the harms that they're causing. And they don't fucking care. They don't. So the statement here goes into: Burton is angry because he believes that Christian's autism is related to the preventatives he received for the measles and the other stuff known as MMR. And Burton and his daughter, Christian's mother, say Christian's symptoms began to develop only after that happened. I mean, he's stating the truth. It's all conjecture, and causation doesn't equal correlation. Ooh, this argument's going to come out so strong, but it blows me away that it was Bernard Rimland who stated it in regards to Bettelheim. And now he's, more Autistic History coming up.